The night everything changed. Welcome to Crownfire Tales. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more captivating stories. The champagne glass shattered against marble before Lyra even realized she'd dropped it. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse ballroom, she watched her former fiancé, her mind corrected viciously, press another woman against the balcony railing. Marcus's hands tangled in blonde hair that wasn't Lyra's. His mouth claimed lips that weren't hers. And the woman laughing breathlessly in his arms wore the same emerald necklace Marcus had promised to give Lyra on their wedding day. 3 years. 3 years of devotion, of building his company from bankruptcy, of sacrificing her own dreams so he could chase his. And this was her reward. "I need air," Lyra whispered to no one. The gala continued around her, New York's elite mingling beneath crystal chandeliers, oblivious to the destruction of her world. She turned blindly toward the exit, her silver gown a ghost moving through the crowd. She made it to the rooftop garden before the tears came. The November wind bit through silk as she gripped the stone railing, her carefully styled auburn hair coming loose in the gusts. Below, Manhattan glittered like scattered diamonds. Beautiful. Indifferent. Just like Marcus had been when she'd finally worked up the courage to tell him she was pregnant. Not now, Lyra. The merger is more important. She'd lost the baby 2 weeks later. He never asked how she was healing. Careful. That railing's older than it looks. Lyra spun. A man emerged from the shadows near the rooftop entrance, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than her car. But it was his face that stole her breath. Sharp cheekbones. A jaw that could cut glass. Eyes so dark they seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. And something else. Something that made her wolf, silent for so long she'd almost forgotten it existed, suddenly lift its head inside her chest. "I'm fine," she managed. "No, you're not." He moved closer, and she caught his scent. Smoke and cedar and winter storms. It wrapped around her like a drug. "You're about 30 seconds from doing something you can't take back." Lyra's laugh came out bitter. "You don't know me. I know what betrayal looks like." His gaze dropped to her left hand, where an engagement ring still glittered. "And I know what it does to people who've spent their whole lives being too good, too loyal, too useful to others." The words struck like physical blows. "How did he?" "Who are you?" she demanded. His mouth curved. Not quite a smile. "Someone who's going to make you an offer." The proposition. "I don't accept offers from strangers on rooftops." "Then let me introduce myself." He extended his hand. Cain Ashford. The name detonated in her mind. Cain Ashford. The Ghost King of Manhattan. The alpha who'd built an empire from nothing and destroyed anyone who crossed him. The man whose face never appeared in tabloids because photographers who tried ended up bankrupt or worse. She'd heard the whispers. Ruthless. Dangerous. Connected to things that happened in shadows where even wolves feared to tread. "I know who you are," Lyra breathed. "Good. Then you know I don't waste time on pleasantries." His hand remained extended. "Your fiancé is about to announce his engagement to Senator Morrison's daughter. Tonight." In approximately, he glanced at his watch, 8 minutes. The world tilted. What? The blonde on the balcony. Catherine Morrison. Their families have been negotiating for months. Cain's expression held no sympathy. Just cold fact. "You were never supposed to know. Marcus planned to let you find out from social media. Cleaner that way." Lyra's knees buckled. Cain caught her, his hands iron-strong around her waist, steadying her against his chest. The contact sent electricity through every nerve ending. "Why are you telling me this?" she whispered. "Because I need a wife." She jerked back. "Excuse me?" "Not a real one. A contracted one." Cain released her, but the heat of his touch lingered. 6 months. You play the part of my devoted spouse. I get access to certain opportunities that require appearing settled. You get revenge on the man who's been using you. I don't want revenge. I want. What? Him back? Kane's laugh was cold. He never wanted you, Lyra Thorne. He wanted your connections, your family's old bloodline, your willingness to erase yourself for his benefit. But you're not shiny enough for his new political ambitions. Each word was a scalpel, cutting away the lies she'd told herself. The excuses she'd made. The hope she'd clung to even as it poisoned her. What's in it for you? She asked. Really? Kane studied her for a long moment. There's a council seat opening. Old pack politics, only mated alphas can claim it. I need a Luna. You need to show your ex-fiancé exactly what he threw away. He paused. And I think we both need to remind certain people that we're not as powerless as they believe. I don't understand. You will. Something flickered in his dark eyes. Your father didn't die in a car accident, Lyra. He was killed. And Marcus's family was involved. The rooftop swayed. No. That's impossible. My father was investigating corporate fraud at Morrison Blake Industries. Marcus's father's company. Kane stepped closer. The brake lines were cut. The police report was buried. Your mother was paid off to keep quiet and drink herself to death over the next 5 years. Lyra couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Everything she'd believed about her life was ash and smoke. I can prove it, Kane said quietly. Every detail. Every cover-up. Every person who knew and stayed silent. He extended his hand again. Or you can go back downstairs. Watch Marcus propose to another woman. Smile politely. Go home alone. Spend the rest of your life wondering what you could have been if you'd ever chosen yourself. The devil's bargain. Lyra stared at his hand. At the strong fingers, the calluses that spoke of violence, the silver ring on his thumb engraved with symbols she didn't recognize. Choose yourself. When was the last time she'd done that? 6 months, she heard herself say. Then what? Then we part ways. Quietly. Amicably. I'll provide financial compensation and ensure you land on your feet. No strings. Why should I trust you? Kane's smile turned sharp. You shouldn't. I'm not a good man, Lyra. I've done things that would make you run screaming. But I keep my word. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to something that felt like a promise and a threat. And I protect what's mine. For as long as it's mine. The possessiveness in his tone should have scared her. Instead, her wolf purred. Downstairs, through the glass doors, she could see the crowd gathering. Marcus stood on a small stage, microphone in hand. Catherine beside him, radiant in white and gold. 3 years of her life. 3 years of love and sacrifice and reshaping herself into someone Marcus could tolerate. And he was about to erase her like she'd never existed. Lyra looked back at Kane Ashford. At the devil offering her a bargain. What happens if I say yes? Then we go downstairs. Interrupt his little announcement. And I introduce New York society to my new fiancé. His eyes gleamed. The old bloodline alpha princess he's been hiding from the world. I'm not a princess. Your father was alpha of the Hudson Valley before Morrison's family destroyed him. That makes you exactly what Marcus has been using you for, legitimacy he couldn't buy. Kane offered his arm. Time to collect what he owes you. Lyra's hand trembled as she reached for him. This is insane. Probably. His fingers closed around hers. Strong. Sure. But it's better than the alternative. The touch sent fire through her veins. The bond, faint but undeniable, sparked to life between them. Not a mating bond. Not yet. But something old and primal recognized something in him that her wolf had been starving for. Power. Protection. Choice. 6 months, Lyra repeated. 6 months, Kane agreed. The announcement. They descended the stairs together. Kane's hand possessive at the small of her back, guiding her through the crowd. People parted instinctively, some recognized him, others simply felt the dominance rolling off him in waves. Lyra's heart hammered against her ribs. What was she doing? This was crazy. Reckless. Everything she'd never been. But Marcus's voice echoed through the speakers, "I have an announcement that's been a long time coming." And something inside Lyra, something that had been bending and breaking for years, finally snapped. They reached the edge of the crowd. Marcus had his arm around Catherine. The ring box glinted in his hand. "Catherine Morrison has done me the incredible honor." "I'm sorry to interrupt." Kane's voice cut through the ballroom like a blade. Low. Commanding. Impossible to ignore. 200 heads turned. Marcus's face went sheet white. Kane smiled. It was the most dangerous thing Lyra had ever seen. "I just wanted to congratulate you on your, what are we calling this? Upgrade?" His hand tightened on Lyra's waist. "Lyra, and I appreciate the invitation to your party. Though I wish you'd mentioned you were celebrating your engagement to someone else. We would have brought a gift." The silence was absolute. "Lyra?" Marcus's voice cracked. "What are you? What am I doing with Kane Ashford?" Lyra's voice sounded stronger than she felt. "Getting on with my life. You should try it." Catherine's perfect smile faltered. "I don't understand." "Of course you don't." Lyra met Marcus's eyes. Saw the panic there. The calculation. "But you will." Kane leaned down, his mouth brushing her ear. To anyone watching, it looked intimate. Possessive. Beautiful. "Now let's leave before he remembers how to speak." They turned to go. "Wait." Marcus lunged forward. His hand caught Lyra's arm. "You can't just." Kane moved so fast Lyra didn't see it. One moment Marcus was touching her. The next, he was on his knees, his wrist bent at an angle that made several people gasp. "She's not yours to touch anymore." Kane's voice was arctic. "In fact, she never was. You just didn't realize it until now." He released Marcus, who crumpled. Then Kane took Lyra's hand and led her through the silent crowd, past the shocked faces, through the doors into the November night. A black car waited at the curb. Kane opened the door for her. "What did I just do?" Lyra whispered. "You just declared war," Kane said. And he smiled like war was exactly what he'd been waiting for. The first rule. The car pulled away from the gala. Lyra watched the building shrink in the side mirror, the life she'd known disappearing into city lights and distance. "Where are we going?" Her voice sounded hollow. "Somewhere safe." Kane hadn't touched her since the ballroom, but she could feel the heat of him in the small space. "We need to discuss terms." "Terms?" "You agreed to 6 months. That requires rules." Lyra turned to face him. In the dim light, his features were all shadow and sharp edges. "What kind of rules?" "First, publicly, we're a devoted couple. Private events, packed gatherings, any situation where Morrison's people might be watching." His gaze held hers. "You stay close. You smile. You let me touch you like I own you." Her breath hitched. "And privately?" "Privately, you have your space. I have mine." Something flickered in his expression. "Unless you request otherwise." "I won't." "We'll see." He leaned forward, and she caught his scent again, that intoxicating mix of danger and winter. Second rule, no falling in love. This is business. Revenge. Strategy. Sentiment complicates things. Agreed, Lyra said too quickly. Kane's mouth curved. Third, I will protect you. From Marcus, from his family, from anyone who tries to use you. But you'll follow my instructions without question in dangerous situations. Understood? I'm not a child. No. You're a weapon they've been suppressing your whole life. His hand found her chin, tilting her face toward him. And I'm going to teach you how to cut. The contact sent electricity down her spine. This close, she could see gold flecks in his dark eyes. Could feel the leashed power vibrating beneath his skin. One more thing, Kane murmured. Whatever you learn about me over these 6 months, whatever you see, whatever I do, you keep silent. My enemies are worse than Marcus could ever be. And they'll use anything against me. Including me? Especially you. His thumb traced her jawline. That's why this has to look real. Completely. Undeniably real. How real? The question came out breathless. Kane's smile turned predatory. Real enough that when I kiss you in public, your wolf begs for more. Real enough that when I mark you, temporarily, for appearances, your body responds like it's permanent. Real enough that Marcus Morrison spends every night wondering what you're doing in my bed. I won't actually be in your bed. Won't you? Before Lyra could respond, his phone buzzed. Kane checked it, and his expression darkened. What is it? She asked. Marcus just filed a restraining order. Claiming I assaulted him. Kane's laugh was cold. He's faster than I expected. A restraining order? Panic clawed at Lyra's throat. That means. It means we move up the timeline. Kane's fingers flew across his phone. How do you feel about getting married tomorrow? The car seemed to shrink. Tomorrow? Morrison's playing hardball. He'll use every legal avenue to separate us, discredit you, make this look like manipulation. Kane met her eyes. But if we're already married, his claims fall apart. And certain PAC laws protect spouses in ways fiancés aren't. This is insane. This is war. Kane leaned back, his expression unreadable. You can still walk away. I'll have you dropped wherever you want. No judgment. No consequences. Lyra looked out the window. The city blurred past, 1,000 lives happening in lit windows, each one probably simpler than hers had just become. She could go back. Apologize to Marcus. Pretend tonight never happened. Fade into obscurity the way he'd always wanted. Or she could burn it all down. Tomorrow, Lyra heard herself say. Where? Kane's smile was sharp as a blade. My family's estate. Hudson Valley. Where your father used to rule before they killed him. He reached across the seat, taking her hand. Welcome to the war, Lyra Thorne. Try not to die. The car accelerated into the night. And behind them, in the ballroom they'd left in chaos, Marcus Morrison stared at his phone, at the photo already spreading through social media. Lyra in Kane Ashford's arms. Lyra smiling. Lyra looking more alive than she'd ever looked in 3 years by his side. And in the background, barely visible, a man in a gray suit made a phone call that would change everything. But Lyra didn't know that yet. She only knew that her hand in Kane's felt like the first honest thing she'd touched in years. Like choosing herself might actually be worth the price. Even if that price was her soul. Forbidden romance and secrets. The Ashford estate. The mansion rose from the Hudson Valley mist like something out of a Gothic nightmare. Lyra pressed her face against the car window, her breath fogging the glass. Stone walls climbed 3 stories high, covered in ivy that looked black in the pre-dawn darkness. Towers punctuated each corner, medieval architecture that had no business existing in modern New York. And everywhere, gargoyles. Dozens of them, their wings spread, their mouths frozen in silent screams. It's been in my family for 200 years, Kane said beside her. Built by the first Ashford Alpha who came to America. He believed in making statements. It looks haunted. It is. Kane's tone suggested he wasn't joking. But the ghosts leave me alone. Mostly. The car stopped before massive oak doors. A woman waited on the steps, elderly, silver-haired, wearing a black dress that belonged to a different century. Her eyes found Lyra through the window, and something passed across her face. Recognition? Fear? That's Margot, Kane explained. She's been with my family since before I was born. She'll prepare you for the ceremony. I don't have a dress. I don't have anything. You'll have everything you need. Kane climbed out, then offered his hand. Trust me. Lyra took it. The moment her feet touched gravel, the estate's energy hit her like a physical wall. Power. Old, dense, suffocating power that made her wolf flatten its ears in submission. What is this place? She whispered. The seat of Ashford authority. Every generation, our power gets bound here. Blood magic, territorial claims, pack bonds that go back centuries. Kane's hand tightened on hers. When we marry, you'll become part of that. Connected to every alpha who's ever ruled from these walls. The weight of it pressed down on Lyra's shoulders. This wasn't just a marriage of convenience. This was legacy. Destiny. Things she'd never asked for. Margot descended the steps, her movements fluid despite her age. Up close, her eyes were shocking, pale blue, almost white, like frost covering water. So this is the Thorn girl. Margot's voice was smoke and silk. I knew your father, child. Before they killed him. Lyra's heart stuttered. You knew my father? Everyone knew Elias Thorn. A good man. Too good for the snakes he surrounded himself with. Margot's gaze shifted to Kane. You're certain about this? I'm certain. The prophecy. Doesn't matter. Kane's tone went hard. We do this my way. What prophecy? Lyra demanded. Silence. Kane and Margot exchanged a look loaded with meaning Lyra couldn't decipher. Nothing that concerns tonight, Kane said finally. Margot, take her to the East Wing. She needs rest before the ceremony. Wait. Lyra pulled her hand free. You don't get to keep secrets. Not about this. Not about my father. Kane's expression was unreadable. Your father made enemies. Powerful ones. That's all you need to know right now. That's not enough. It has to be. He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. Because if I tell you everything tonight, you'll run. And I need you here. He stopped. Something vulnerable flickered across his face before vanishing. 6 months, Lyra. Then I'll tell you everything. Why not now? Because some truths are weapons. And you're not ready to wield them yet. The East Wing. Margot led Lyra through corridors that seemed to shift in the darkness. Portraits lined the walls, Ashford alphas stretching back generations, their eyes following her progress. At the end of a long hallway, Margot opened a door. Your rooms. The suite was beautiful. A massive bed draped in midnight blue silk dominated the space. Windows overlooked the valley, where fog clung to trees like ghostly fingers. A fire crackled in the hearth, though Lyra hadn't seen anyone light it. The dress is in the closet, Margot said. Everything else you need is in the bathroom. The ceremony begins at dawn. That's less than 2 hours. Time moves differently here. Margot moved to the fire, adding wood with practiced ease. The estate knows when something important is happening. It prepares. The estate knows? Lyra laughed, but it came out shaky. You're talking about it like it's alive. In a way, it is. Blood magic isn't just about power, girl. It's about sacrifice. Every Ashford who's died here, every Luna who's given birth within these walls, their essence remains. Watching. Waiting. A chill crawled down Lyra's spine. Waiting for what? Margot's pale eyes met hers. For the one who'll either save this family or destroy it. She moved toward the door. Your father believed you were that one. He died trying to protect you from your own destiny. What does that mean? But Margot was already gone, the door clicking shut with an ominous finality. Lyra stood alone in the vast room, her heart racing. This was insane. All of it. She should leave, run, escape while she still could. Instead, she walked to the closet. The dress hung like captured moonlight. White silk that seemed to glow from within, embroidered with silver thread and patterns that hurt to look at directly. Ancient symbols. Pack markings. Things that whispered of power and binding and promises that couldn't be broken. Lyra's fingers trembled as she touched the fabric. It was warm. Alive. As if it had been waiting specifically for her. Beautiful, isn't it? She spun. Kane stood in the doorway, changed from his suit into dark pants and a loose white shirt that revealed the column of his throat. His hair was damp, like he'd just showered. And his eyes burned with something that made her breath catch. You're not supposed to see me before the ceremony, Lyra said. I don't follow traditions that don't serve me. He crossed the room in 3 strides. But I needed to make sure you hadn't run. I'm still here. For now. Kane stopped close enough that she could feel his heat. Having second thoughts? 100th thoughts, maybe. His mouth curved. Good. Means you're smart. His hand lifted, fingers grazing her cheek. I need you to understand something, Lyra. Once we do this, once we speak the vows and bind ourselves, there's no easy way out. The magic will tie us together in ways a divorce can't sever. You said 6 months. I said we'd end the public arrangement in 6 months. But the bond. He paused. The bond is different. It fades eventually, but slowly. You'll feel me for years. My emotions, my pain, his jaw tightened. Everything. You didn't mention that before. Would you have said yes if I had? Lyra wanted to say no. Wanted to be angry at the manipulation. But looking into his dark eyes, she saw something that stopped her. Fear. Kane Ashford, the ghost king of Manhattan, was afraid. What aren't you telling me? She whispered. So many things. His thumb traced her lower lip. But here's one truth, I've done terrible things, Lyra. Unforgivable things. And when you feel me through the bond, you'll know exactly what kind of monster you married. Then why bind us? Because I'm selfish. Because I need your power and your bloodline and your... He stopped, something raw crossing his face. Because my father told me I'd meet someone who could either redeem me or damn me. And I've been waiting 20 years to find out which you'll be. The vulnerability in his voice cracked something open in Lyra's chest. This wasn't manipulation. This was confession. Your father? She asked. Is he dead? 5 years now. Killed by the same people who killed yours. Kane's hand dropped. That's the real reason I need you, Lyra. Not for revenge against Marcus. Not for a council seat. His eyes blazed. I need you because together, we can destroy the ones who took everything from us. The ceremony. Dawn broke bloody and beautiful over the Hudson Valley. Lyra stood before a stone altar in the estate's garden, wearing the dress that felt like liquid moonlight against her skin. The fabric moved with her breathing, alive and expectant. Around her neck, Margot had clasped a silver collar, an heirloom, she'd said, worn by every Ashford Luna for 2 centuries. It felt like a chain. Kane appeared from the shadows, wearing all black. No suit, no tie, just simple clothes that somehow made him look more dangerous. More primal. His eyes found hers across the space, and the intensity in them stole her breath. They were alone. No witnesses, no pack, no legal officiant. Just Margot standing beside the altar, a leather-bound book in her hands, speaking words in a language Lyra didn't recognize. The old tongue, Kane murmured as he took his place across from her. Pact-binding rituals predate English by thousands of years. What is she saying? She's asking the land to witness. Asking our ancestors to bless or curse us based on our worthiness. His hand found hers. And she's warning us that once the vows are spoken, breaking them brings madness. Madness? The bond doesn't like being severed. It fights back. Kane's fingers tightened. That's why I need your consent, Lyra. Real consent. Not coerced, not desperate. I need you to choose this knowing what it costs. Margot's chanting rose, urgent and commanding. The silver collar around Lyra's neck grew warm. I choose it, Lyra heard herself say. I choose you. Something flashed in Kane's eyes. Relief? Triumph? Before she could identify it, he pulled her closer. Then repeat after me. His voice dropped to something raw and ancient. I, Lyra Thorne, bind myself to Kane Ashford. My blood to his blood. My power to his power. My fate to his fate until death or madness parts us. The words felt heavy. Sacred. Lyra's wolf stirred, rising from its long sleep, and for the first time in her life, she felt it completely. Felt its strength, its rage, its desperate hunger for the alpha standing before her. I, Lyra Thorne, she began, her voice shaking, bind myself to Kane Ashford. My blood to his blood. My power to his power. My fate to his fate until death or madness parts us. The collar blazed hot. Pain lanced through her, not physical, but deeper. Soul deep. She gasped, and Kane caught her, his arms iron around her waist. I've got you, he murmured. Stay with me. His turn. He spoke the same vows, his voice steady and sure. And when he finished, the world shifted. Colors brightened. Sounds sharpened. And suddenly, Lyra could feel him, his heartbeat syncing with hers, his emotions bleeding into her awareness like watercolors on wet paper. Fear. Determination. And underneath it all, something that felt dangerously like hope. The bond snapped into place. Margot's chanting stopped. She closed the book with a definitive thud. It is done. You are bound. Husband and wife, Alpha and Luna, until the end of all things. Kane's hand cupped Lyra's face. Are you all right? I can feel you. Wonder colored her voice. Everything. Your emotions, she gasped. Your pain. God, Kane, what happened to you? Because beneath the determination and control, she felt scars. Deep, agonizing wounds that had never properly healed. Trauma layered on trauma, building a fortress around something fragile and broken. Later. He pressed his forehead to hers. Right now, I need to kiss you. To seal the bond properly. May I? The request surprised her. After everything, the binding, the vows, the magic crackling between them, he still asked permission. Yes, Lyra whispered. His mouth claimed hers with devastating precision. Not gentle, not tentative. This was possession and promise and barely leashed hunger. His tongue swept past her lips, tasting, claiming, branding her as his in ways that had nothing to do with magic and everything to do with desire. Lyra's wolf howled in triumph. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, demanding more. The bond blazed between them, feeding on their contact, growing stronger with every heartbeat. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Kane's eyes had changed. Dark brown bleeding to amber. His wolf rising to meet hers. Mine, he growled. Yours, Lyra agreed. And somewhere deep in the estate, something ancient stirred. Watching. Waiting. Recognizing the pieces falling into place for a game that had been playing for generations. But in that moment, wrapped in Kane's arms with dawn breaking around them, Lyra didn't care about prophecies or destiny or the darkness waiting in the wings. She only knew that for the first time in her life, she felt whole. Even if that wholeness came with teeth. The ultimate power and revenge. The morning after. Lyra woke to find Kane gone. The bed was cold where he'd slept, if he'd slept at all. Through the bond, she felt him somewhere in the estate. Distant. Guarded. Deliberately blocking her from seeing too deeply into whatever darkness consumed him. She sat up, her body aching in unfamiliar ways. The silver collar still rested against her throat, warm and alive. When she touched it, memories that weren't hers flooded through her fingers. Women who'd worn this before. Lunas who'd loved and lost and died in this very house. The last memory made her gasp. A woman with Lyra's eyes, screaming as men in dark suits dragged her from the estate. A child crying in the background. And Kane's voice, younger, broken, "Mother, no. I told Margot to remove that." Lyra spun. Kane stood in the doorway, dressed in dark jeans and a black shirt. His hair was still damp. His expression was carved from ice. "Your mother," Lyra whispered. "I saw. You saw something that's none of your business." He crossed the room, reaching for the collar. "Take it off." "No." Lyra backed away. "Tell me what happened to her." "She died." "That's all you need to know." "That's not all." "I felt her terror." Lyra's throat closed. "She was taken. Murdered. By the same people who killed our fathers." Kane's jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" Lyra stood, facing him despite the dominance rolling off him in waves. "The bond goes both ways, Kane. You're not the only one who can feel things. And I feel your rage. Your guilt. You blame yourself for her death." "Stop." "Why? Because the truth hurts?" Lyra stepped closer. "You married me for revenge. But not against Marcus. Against whoever took your mother. And you think I'm the key to finding them." The silence stretched taut as wire. Then Kane moved. Fast, predatory, backing her against the wall. His hands bracketed her head, caging her in. "You want the truth, wife? Fine. Here it is." His eyes blazed amber. "There's an organization. No name, no public face. Just shadows and money and death. They've been hunting certain bloodlines for decades. Yours. Mine. Anyone connected to old pack magic." "Why?" "Because old magic is power. Real power. Not the watered-down political games modern packs play." His face was inches from hers. "My mother had it. Your father had it. And according to every prophecy, every ancient text, every whisper from seers who've gone mad trying to understand it," he paused. "You have it, Lyra. More than any of us." Her heart hammered. "That's impossible. I'm nobody. My wolf was suppressed for years. I'm weak. You were suppressed because you're dangerous." Kane's hand found her throat, thumb pressing gently against the collar. "The moment your wolf woke, I felt it. Every alpha in 100-mile radius felt it. You're not just Omega, Lyra. You're something older. Something they tried to breed out of existence." "What am I?" "An anchor. A true one. The kind that can bond entire territories, unite fractured packs, or," his voice dropped, "destroy everyone who's ever hurt you with a single command." The words hung between them, impossible and terrifying. "I don't know how to do any of that," Lyra whispered. "I know. That's why you're still alive." Kane released her, stepping back. "But they'll come for you now." The binding ceremony sent out a pulse. "Everyone knows we're mated." "And the organization," he stopped, his expression darkening. "They'll send their best." "When?" "Soon." Kane pulled out his phone, showing her a message. "This came an hour ago. Congratulations on your marriage." We look forward to meeting the bride. She'll look beautiful in red. The threat was clear. Blood. Violence. Death wrapped in polite words. Who sent this? Lyra's voice shook. Someone who's been pulling strings for a very long time. Kane's thumb traced the screen. Someone Marcus has been working with. Someone who wanted you isolated, broken, easy to control. He met her eyes. Your mother. The world stopped. The betrayal. No. Lyra's legs gave out. Kane caught her, lowering her to the edge of the bed. My mother is dead. She died 5 years ago. That's what they wanted you to believe. Kane crouched before her. Your mother, Elena Thorne, faked her death. She's been alive this entire time, working with the organization. Feeding them information about bloodlines, helping them identify targets. Why would she? Lyra couldn't breathe. She loved my father. Did she? Kane's expression held something like pity. Or did she love what he could give her? Status, power, protection from her own demons. He pulled up another photo on his phone. This was taken 3 months ago. A woman in an expensive restaurant. Older, elegant, wearing designer clothes and a smile that had haunted Lyra's childhood. Her mother. Alive. Laughing with a man in a gray suit, the same man Lyra had glimpsed at the gala. She sold you to Marcus, Kane continued quietly. Made sure you stayed weak, stayed compliant. And when you started asking too many questions about your father's death, she arranged for Marcus to keep you distracted. Pregnant. Dependent. The miscarriage. The timing. She knew, Lyra breathed. She knew I'd lose the baby. The stress, the suppressants in your system, Marcus's emotional abuse, all calculated. All designed to break you completely. Kane's hands found hers. But you didn't break. You survived. And that scared her more than anything. Lyra's vision blurred. Her mother. The woman who'd raised her, who'd sung lullabies and kissed scraped knees, had been systematically destroying her for years. Why tell me this now? Her voice came out raw. Because she's coming here. Today. Kane stood, pulling Lyra up with him. She knows we're bonded. She knows what you could become. And she's going to try to kill you before you reach your full power. Let her try. The words surprised Lyra. But as she said them, something inside her shifted. The wolf, her wolf, rose with teeth bared. I'm done being afraid. Done being the victim. Kane's smile was sharp as broken glass. There's my Luna. The confrontation. They came at noon. Lyra stood in the estate's great hall, wearing leather pants and a black shirt Margot had provided. Her hair was pulled back, revealing the silver collar. The bond with Kane hummed between them. He was positioned on the balcony above, watching, ready to strike if needed. But this was her fight. The doors opened. Elena Thorne entered first, flanked by 4 men in dark suits. She looked exactly like the photo, poised, beautiful, utterly cold. Hello, daughter. Elena's smile was poison. You've been busy. Mother. The word tasted like ash. Or should I call you by your real name? The one you use when you're selling children to monsters? Elena's expression didn't flicker. I did what was necessary. Your father was weak. He wanted to protect bloodlines that should have died out centuries ago. He didn't understand that evolution requires sacrifice. Is that what you call murder? Sacrifice? I call it progress. Elena moved closer. You were supposed to be controllable, Lyra. Broken. Instead, you married the one alpha who could unlock what you are. Her eyes flicked upward, finding Kane. Did he tell you? About the prophecy? He told me enough. Did he tell you that anchors who reach full power go mad? That they lose themselves to the bond, become nothing but extensions of their mate's will? Elena's voice turned gentle. Persuasive. I was trying to save you from that fate, darling. Keep you weak enough to live a normal life. By destroying everything I loved? By protecting you from yourself. Elena extended her hand. Come home. We'll find a way to suppress your power again. You can have the peaceful life you always wanted. For a moment, Lyra saw it. The alternative. A quiet existence, no danger, no responsibility, no destiny crushing her beneath its weight. Then she felt Cain through the bond. His absolute faith in her. His certainty that she was strong enough to carry this power without breaking. No, Lyra said. I'm done letting fear make my decisions. Elena's mask cracked. Then you're a fool. They'll use you until there's nothing left. Cain, Marcus, the organization, everyone wants what you are, not who you are. Maybe. Lyra's wolf surged forward, and suddenly she could feel it, the power Elena had warned about. Vast, ancient, terrifying. But I'd rather be used for something that matters than live safely as nothing. She reached for that power. The estate shuddered. Windows rattled. The men flanking Elena stumbled as dominance crashed through the hall like a physical wave. Impossible, Elena whispered. You're not trained. You can't. I am an anchor. Lyra's voice echoed with something that wasn't entirely hers. Generations of women who'd worn the silver collar, lending their strength. And you are trespassing. The power exploded outward. Not violent, not destructive. Simply absolute. The command of an alpha Luna in her own territory, backed by centuries of blood magic and bond power. Elena's guards collapsed. Unconscious before they hit the floor. Elena herself fell to her knees, her carefully constructed control shattering. Please. Lyra, please. I'm still your mother. You stopped being my mother the day you sold me. Lyra crouched before her. But I'm not going to kill you. That would be mercy. She leaned close. I'm going to let you live. Watch as I become everything you feared. Watch as I destroy the organization you serve. Watch as I prove that love is stronger than whatever twisted thing you call protection. She stood. Cain descended from the balcony, his expression fierce with pride. Get her out of here, Lyra told the guards who'd appeared, Ashford Pack members, loyal to Cain. Make sure she understands, if she comes back, I won't be merciful again. As they dragged Elena away, she screamed, You'll regret this. The prophecy says you'll destroy everything you love. You'll see. The doors slammed shut. Silence. Then Cain's arms were around her, holding her as the power drained away, leaving her shaking and exhausted. You were magnificent, he murmured against her hair. I was terrified. Good. Fear means you understand what you're capable of. He pulled back, cupping her face. But you chose love anyway. Chose to be more than what they made you. Lyra looked up at him, this dangerous, damaged alpha who'd given her the choice to become herself. What happens now? Now? Cain's smile turned predatory. Now we hunt everyone who ever hurt us. Together. And in the depths of the estate, the ancient magic hummed its approval. The anchor had awakened. The Luna had claimed her power. And the real war was just beginning.